Opens things up, firing some lancers off. I hope he's able to. I think this one had like no restrictions on anyone. Yeah, just the elephant command restrictions in both cases. So yeah, so he fired off some lancers. One of them just chased some light archers back, but the other two slammed into the line, attacker superior because they're in charge formation, whatever, and routed one unit. I didn't get a chase, which is a good thing, because otherwise I'd be hitting 2 light cav without the attack superiority because my charge formation's broken already. So good to have quality units. That puts us to a 4 somewhere over here. We got a couple of them, one there, and is this the other one? Yeah. It was important for the Seleucids to get the initiative over here. I actually sent Philip around the back to keep hitting. Remember, I got that Diral of Doom reactivation thing. That's what started this, or that's what caused this to accelerate so much. So I mean, by trumping, or not trumping, by prioritizing this, it meant no reaction over here. Now I get that reaction, but there's nothing left. The cav has pretty much been destroyed. Reason for that, usually you have things you can rally, but because I had them sandwiched between zones of control, I ended up popping 2 good cav units. Well, 2 cav units. One of them is pretty decent. And then the other one here, I'm going to be able to rally, maybe. Andronicus tried to save the situation a little bit, threw an elephant in. He's basically bounced back and forth, did some rallying. He had multiple momentums. I didn't really want to launch these guys. I have a couple extra commands that I could push forward part of the line, but it just doesn't look like a wise move to further disrupt my lines right now. I'm not sure. Used up way less than my command capabilities because all of these units are basically an inch away from routing, which means if I move them, and they had some opportunities, like if this guy had one more TQ left, I might have moved him here or here and launched an attack to make sure I get rid of those routed units to get the points for them. But as it stood, I would route upon ordering my unit to move. So not a whole hell of a lot I can do there. I'm leaving Nearchus in command of the cav now, and I've moved up to take that infantry line, which is a little skewy. Nearchus is better at commanding a line, though, so he's got a higher strategy rating but a lower initiative, which is just peachy for, you know, a big infantry line. You don't want to wear that thing out particularly. But in terms of supporting units, the high initiative is valuable. But yeah, it's just what's working out there. And that's going to throw us over to this cav mess, but I'm not ready to face that yet. Nothing new. It's been a long process where it's been happening. But I've lost my, and I mentioned this with Vietnam, was where I really started noticing it. But I knew it existed before that. I've lost that, oh, I'm just going to play. You know, I'm going to just keep playing and playing. I know even back, you know, well before I did the videos, back in Buffalo, like, you know, around 97, 98, whatever, I was already kind of, hey, I'll play a couple of actions, or I'll play a turn, and then I'll go and do some work. I was doing editing work then, and then I'll come back and I'll play a turn, and I'll do some editing work. So, I mean, this is not anything, definitely not anything recent, but it feels like it's just been growing and growing, this lack of desire to play, you know, straight through. I know that it got you know, that my interest in gaming got resparked when I, you know, started doing the videos, started playing again, and you would see me sit down and just play a GBOH in a day. I'm not able to do that anymore. Something small like Gaza, maybe at most, but yeah. And nowhere, I don't know if I ever was at the point, and I hear some people talk about this, well, I have trouble setting aside more than a couple hours to play a game. I have trouble being willing to play a game for more than like 15 minutes to a half hour. And then I walk away. That's the way I manage to do the solo gaming, is with lots and lots of breaks in it. As a matter of fact, when I was doing opposed play, when I first got back here for the first few months, with a small game or whatever, it was fine. But when we were playing things like, we did Cataclysm over there, we did High Frontier a couple of times, I had a really hard time not wanting to take a break. I don't remember that being the case in opposed gaming. On the other hand, of course, I also couldn't smoke at the game. So that definitely is a factor. Because here is playing a waiting game sort of thing. This flank is being so successful that my primary goal, sure, I want to win if I can on both flanks, but my primary goal is make sure that I don't screw the flank up. So instead of launching like some kind of massive attack that could go many different ways, I'm pulling that one of those elephant lines up a little bit at a time, busting up some units. You can see some deaths coming from it, some routing over here. But just basically moving slowly, putting some more elephants in the line in the way of any kind of phalanx movement over there, and relying on what appears to be a victory that's forming over on the right flank. This is, to me, how you sort of play the game, right? If you're not going for some sort of massive victory. And to tell you the truth, launching that attack probably is a really iffy thing. Whereas gathering up these elephants is going to ensure this flank is going to collapse. The only question is, is time a factor? Do I need to win this flank quickly? And the answer is no, that flank's doing perfectly well. If I was in a situation where part of the battlefield might lose me the game, yeah, then I need to hurry. But this is the more secure and more likely to be a dominant tactic. Where do we end up with this afterwards? I think we're out of 4s, which means we look for the 5 over here, which is over there. One problem with walking away so often is I'm not as intimately connected with what's going on in the battlefield. And yeah, I was only away for 15 minutes. I got nothing I want to do in my life. I just don't particularly want to do this either. Elephants over there are making any chance of a breakthrough here almost impossible. Wow. I really don't know what to do. I feel like I'm at a loss. Similar to how I feel in reality, where, my last statement, hey, it led me to contemplate, wow. Been thinking about bringing my wife's computer up here, starting to try to get some kind of organization, but I got such a mess here. I got so much garbage everywhere that is uncontrolled, and it's all kind of, sure, this got the way it was in part due to the mold that was up here that I took care of and now know how to avoid. But ever since the room in the basement got lost, in the sense that it's been in a state where I need to get a repairman in for it, everything in my life has been frozen by that in terms of like getting the house organized. Excused probably, because chaos is my, my existence. Everything just degenerates into worse and worse chaos unless I'm spending inordinate amounts of time trying to maintain order one way or another. And, you know, inordinate to me. Everyone else seems to, not everyone. There are other slobs. But a lot of other people seem to find it fairly easy to, oh, I dropped something, I gotta pick it up, you know? Or, I don't know where to put this away. I'll figure it out, not, you know, I'll just drop it on the floor and, you know. Because I don't have time right now, I have to take a shit or whatever. You know, I don't know. Anyway, as soon as the fucking complexity of what would be involved, which is, geez, I don't know if I have a table that would fit there. It kind of has to go here or here. That's even smaller, I think. And I'm not sure if my wire is going to extend long enough. And this is all shit that people can handle, you know, that people can understand and figure out, you know, you have to do this step, you have to do this step. I can spell out the steps. I can't face them. And I'm feeling that way with the game too, is like, Jesus, you know, what the hell am I going to do? How can I possibly... It looks impossible to save a victory out of this situation. And it probably is. But I feel that same sort of fucking impossibility in my own life. You know? Where I know it's not impossible. I know other people are able to handle it. And yeah, we're getting into the wrong territory here, but it's all that I fucking have left to me is the only thing I can talk to is this camera. I have no friends. My wife is now powder, and, you know, whatever. And, you know, it's not like I can talk to people. Like, I've gone out for walks and tried talking to friends. It's not like I can fucking do that. I go out and I talk about games or something because I don't know them well enough. I don't have 10 years of experience with them that I can open up about stuff. But somehow, because of the camera, and hey, I do have 10 years of experience with all of you through the camera. So yes, I do feel a little bit more comfortable talking to the camera to the whole fucking world than I do taking someone, you know, going for a walk with someone and opening up about my feelings. And that's the fucking difference. When faced with lousy decisions, I make even worse choices. I'm looking for my 5 over here. So I wasn't in a good position where I could do harassment tactics because these elephants have moved up to be along the line. So what I did was I kind of moved my light cav and did it manually, but it's not trivial to do manually, and threw some javelins, 2 of them, hurting this guy twice actually. But now I've got one cav with his ass facing out, one cav that didn't get to throw his javelin, and my light cav in front of my lancers. I also went back and rallied this guy. And then I said, incorrectly, that I don't want to check for momentum, but I actually do. Oh, we get a die roll of doom. Awesome. We're fine. Yeah. The reason I wanted to roll is to try to recover more, to recover a couple of quality points off him. But yeah, I don't feel like I'm in a better position right now, but I don't think that I could have been in a good position. Wonderfully, there's someone giving a talk at the park, so I've got like, while I'm trying to think, someone, you know, giving a monologue the way that I do, which is not very helpful to my thinking processes. With that same delaying tactics in mind, L dude here, Lysimachus, I don't know, I can't really read the counters. My eyes are no longer capable of that, even with, so, I mean, maybe with real reading glasses I could, but the ones I have are these transition something or another, I don't know, progressives, that I would have to kind of tilt so that I'm looking directly down to get the full effect, and I don't, that's not easy with games. Anyway, he basically ran up and down the line, rallying, you know, removing TQ hits against people. But then I fired some missiles, again, Just soften up the enemy, make it a little harder to come forward. We know he's going to, but let's make him hurt each time he does it. And that puts me, I think, towards the end here with our main Antiochus and, Antigonus and Seleucus. I don't know what Seleucus is going to do when he gets his shot. He's got basically 2 lines of elephants he could command. Ideally, he'd probably move both, but where do I want him? Do I want him over here, where all I've got is Philip, and we'll be getting the major breakthrough, presumably? Or do I want him over here, where the fighting might be a little bit more contested, but, you know, as long as I can hold my own there, maybe it's better to have him over here where I can just demolish the entire Antigonine line. And again, nothing but bad choices in mind. My line's broken, so I can't issue a line command. Units are largely in range of the elephants, the damaged units, so I can't recover them. I have nothing that can really deal with these elephants. If I do deal with them, I've got a fresh line of heavy infantry ready to smack into me. It just, yeah, there's just no answer here. This front I'm outclassed on, this front I'm paralyzed in front of and kind of outclassed on. I mean, it would be possible to start breaking the line if Seleucus has his elephants fresh enough. One of the few places I have an advantage is that elephant's wiggling its ass at me. Yeah, that's tempting. And none of these can move faster than 4 either. I know they look like phalanxes, but because they're double depth, I think they're restricted. Again, the rules don't line up. They changed the rules numbering, making the double depth phalanxes a bigger rule in 5th edition, and I don't have that and don't want to go look it up. If the computer was up here, I would. I bought a tablet to be able, in part, to be able to do this kind of thing and to read. PDFs and stuff, you know, free ebooks. Well, the free ebooks was a bad idea. I can't read on the tablet. And I can't take it to the tub or anything like that, so it's kind of useless to me in general. It's more unpleasant than maybe a hardbound book, which I don't like anyway. So that didn't work out very well. The batteries and power on it are so problematic, and the power cord is so much of a pain in the ass to maintain. I don't know why people fucking get those things. What I'd like to do is get my wife's laptop back, which the cops have and will not release to me, but only if I can get it to work, which is a big if, because they're probably holding it because they're trying to crack it. You know, and I can't get the password. I don't know. Maybe I can reformat it and everything, but I kind of don't want to lose what is there, and I might attempt to crack it myself, because there might be some, mainly some of her art, because there doesn't seem to be much on the desktop that I do have. But anyway, it reminds me a little of the camera. You know, I bought it for one purpose and then ended up using it for another entirely. With the tablet, I used it for porn for a little while, but it's too shitty. Anyway, I will never buy another electronic reader or tablet or anything like that until I know that, like, I mean, it has to be fucking cheap. Anyway, I digress, as I always do, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here. But, yeah. I don't know what to do with these guys. We'll figure something out. But this is a lost battle as far as I'm concerned. You know, Antigonus has no chance. Maybe had no chance pretty much from the beginning. This is heavily balanced against him. There's no question about that. Failed. We did a little bit of recovery, but for the most part, we pushed some phalanx units up to smack against elephants. Ineffective as expected, but at least it complicates things over here. So this line is less likely to collapse, I think. But, you know, now I'm weakened facing that if it does get unleashed because, God, yet another big break. Yeah, there was already a break there. And that puts me over to the Seleucid question. And at this point, I'm just waiting for this thing to finally break and end, but, you know, it's got a long way still. The slow loss ratio continues to accumulate, 73 to 36 now. Pushing these forward is actually just really helping the delaying tactics that Seleucus has. I mean, yes, I'm preventing this area from breaking or from being, now that wasn't my hope. My hope was to cause some elephant chaos, right? It's basically the only thing I can hope for at this point, I think, is good elephant chaos. But that didn't happen. So what I ended up with is kind of a stasis over here where the elephants are going to come around and wipe it out, but that's not the point, you know. But it's closed off the possibility of more happening, I think. And yeah, meanwhile, this flank is just open to the exploit of the masses of elephants. I've got one Antigonine elephant over here. I think it may be the only one left on the field, huh? No, maybe another one kicking around somewhere. Yeah, I think that's actually the only one left, right? Yeah. And, you know, I'm outnumbered in Cav, and there's a whole bunch of Seleucid elephants to fix any problems that are in play. So there's just nothing looking forward here. If I was playing against someone, I would say, why are we wasting our time? Somehow my own time is worth wasting in a different sort of way, and I don't understand that, but whatevers. And Nearchus opens things up, mainly using his elephant there, but also actually one of the cav, and some rallying and whatnot, to smack around that flank, make it a little bit less offensive. In terms of my Ethernet cables, I looked at them. I have a couple I pulled up. And they're really not long enough. And, well, that puts my decision making off until I get around to either finding if I have another one or ordering one. Which, you know, the way I do things, that may be a few months. And that's just how everything works. So now we're on the 4s, and this guy shouldn't be finished. He did not do anything this turn. I wonder if there's other stuff down there I didn't catch. I think there's another 4. I feel like, yes, Philip. He's white, so it's hard to see. Top priority with Philip was to try to bust this up rather than recovery, although it turned out I did more recovery than busting stuff up. But I was hoping for a continuation, didn't happen, and only managed to knock one unit out of the line, and now we're up here to Andronicus, who I don't know what the hell he wants to do. You know, I mean, I've got basically 2 calls. Attempt to move this line forward and finish things off while these are maybe delaying stuff, or try to make this delay last longer. I'm going to go for the line command, I guess. A little bit of success, but you know, that elephant skirmisher line, and the elephants mixed in with the skirmishers definitely is a potent combination, especially with the elephants having the greater archery capabilities that they do in these scenarios. They are a mightier force than I'm used to seeing them, either in later SPQR scenarios or in the original Alexander stuff. This shows, you know, the value that the successors kind of equated the elephants at, I guess. I don't know. It may actually overemphasize their worth. But anyway, they have succeeded in disrupting a couple of heavy infantry units in terms of positioning. And now I've got the question, you know, when I come over here, which isn't quite yet, we've got the cav fight first, whether I want to launch, you know, part of my line forward and take advantage of that disruption on this part of the line. I can probably move forward sort of an echelon type formation and get the whole line moving, keeping some of it behind my screen, or maybe I just want to let, you know, Andronicus or whatever work on trying to fix this. Meanwhile, I've got plenty of cav. What I don't have is plenty of leaders over on this front. And Seleucus is over here, which may not be the best place, but the reason is I can trigger this line to move, get that back here, and then move back and start moving those into play. But I'm really not, you know, in a sense, those elephant reserves are costing me because I'm using one of the leaders, which is one of my rarest commodities in a fashion that isn't directly winning the battle, but it's ensuring I can't lose the battle, I think. And over on this flank, recuperation by Antiochus. And Demetrius here, actually doing the same, a little bit of skirmishing type stuff. Again, I don't think I can win the flank, so I'm kind of willing to play that delaying game that is desired. And I failed in rallying a unit here and didn't, well, I trumped in, actually, because he got a continuation, and then I didn't get a continuation. And that puts me over to the 5 over here, I guess, which is the interesting call. Do I want to try to beat these things up or let them reform? They're probably not going to get a chance to reform because the primary motivation is going to be to try to clear out more of that elephant line first, but I don't know. Get the easy pickings and try to get the battle over with faster by getting some points on stuff. I don't know. We're easier pickings. Some fairly rested elephants were able to hit the flanks of various units, including, after hitting one, continuation and a trump attempt that failed, hitting another one. I have routed 3 big units. This battle is over. Those are worth 12 each. So that's 36 more points. That puts them over the 100. I could fiddle around with Seleucus here, but he's got nothing to do. I'm just going to put him in my pocket. This one is done. Glad to be done with it. It was heavily unbalanced. And it warrants that it's unbalanced. I didn't see much effect. You know, there was this discussion in the rulebook about how, hey, take away the pursue off the map type rules for Demetrius. Well, we didn't see Demetrius pursue anything off the map, and I'm not terribly convinced that that would have had too much effect. It would have an effect if Demetrius himself were involved in a battle, and I don't like putting my leaders in battle for reasons I've explained many times, and ends up running off the map. But I like to keep my leaders in the back. I think it works better in GBOH. I don't think it's particularly historical, but there you have it. Is anything else going to route off the board other than these things that we need to count? What about this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. And I don't think there are... Basically, I'm worried about, is there anything on the Seleucid side that could create some points? But, you know, we're quite far below. So that is the end of Ipsus, along with some extraneous complaints about life in general for me. Cheers. Rap-wise, yeah, I mean, you know, it really, this is the least balanced of all the scenarios. In fact, one of the unbalancing factors, that huge set of elephants, yeah, some of them played a part here, but for the most part, they tied up one of my leaders doing stuff where he could have been used somewhere else to win the battle. You know, so I probably misused Seleucus himself on this, and still, you know, it still is pretty much of a blowout. Could it have gone differently? Well, I don't know. The elephant line that Seleucus has at the beginning, his elephant skirmisher line, is a little stronger than the one, what's his name, Antigonus has at the beginning of the game. So chances are that the Seleucids are going to win that elephant skirmish line battle. And they strongly outnumber this flank cav-wise. A little bit of extra elephants in here made this clearly another outnumbering situation. And maybe if I could have charged more gung-ho with Demetrius early on, if I wasn't so cautious with him, maybe he'd have gotten the break. Maybe that's the idea. He didn't feel that much more powerful than what he was facing. So that's the only reason that I can see, hey, that Demetrius, you know, routing people off the map thing might be important. Because if he did have the clear superiority here and could have won this battle without elephants slipping in from the center and starting to muck it up and everything, if he could have won this early, and maybe a bunch of continuations early would do that. He's not that great. A 5's pretty good, but it's not great. And got, you know, and then get behind this line, that changes the whole nature of the world. Of course, not by that much, because there's a ton of elephants to chase him away. You know, I mean, Seleucus would have to get serious, right? So yeah, I don't think this is a winnable battle. Very, you know, in any reasonable stretch. You might get really lucky, and I was counting on that. Hey, maybe I can plow those elephants out of the way and then get super lucky on the line and win it all. But yeah, I wasn't getting the kind of continuations here. I also wasn't showing the kind of aggression that you would need to. I guess I didn't realize just how unbalanced this is, and that desperate measures had to be taken. All right, up it goes. I should realize that with my life. You know, I mean, I've done that before in my life, right? Like when I moved from Eugene, when I moved back here, when I moved to this house. But it's harder now. It's harder. It's, you know, it's like, yeah, I should survive. It's long-term decay that we're talking about.